Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with a number of my colleagues to talk about our Opposition Day motion today with respect to China. We're continuing to demand that Prime Minister Trudeau appoint an ambassador to China. We have the biggest diplomatic dispute in a generation in Canada, and for 3 years we've had, or 3 months, we've had no ambassador on the ground. His hand-picked Liberal insider had to resign after bumbling the file. We have a situation where there's 2 Canadians who are being held in prison with the lights on 24/7. Mr. Trudeau last week described them as hostages, and we have no hostage negotiator with no ambassador on the ground. We have Canadians who've had penalties, criminal penalties changed to the death penalty. We've had disruptions of travel and visas for literally hundreds of Canadians. And in recent weeks, there has been a massive disruption to trade, agricultural trade, and specifically canola, and no plan and no action by the Trudeau government. The deficit financing for farmer option today with the financial assistance is good. It's something we've been asking for months, but it's recognition of a stopgap measure that doesn't address the underlying market access issue, which is the Trudeau government has allowed our diplomatic situation with China to descend into chaos where we're not sure what commodity could be at risk next. So the Prime Minister needs to appoint an ambassador. We need to proceed with a WTO challenge. We should be looking at reciprocal measures like withdrawing from the Asian Infrastructure Bank. We should not be funding priorities of the Chinese state when the Chinese state is using our own citizens as hostages. So we should proceed with that along with listening to commodity groups like canola farmers and others to keep the pressure up. The Chinese right now see weak leadership under Justin Trudeau, and they're going to keep pushing over that weak leadership until we see an adequate response. A few comments in French and on the agriculture file in particular from my colleague Luc Berthold.
Merci, Erin. Ça a pris 3 demandes de rencontres d'urgence en comité, ça a pris 9 demandes de débat d'urgence en Chambre, des interventions des producteurs de canola, des interventions des premiers ministres de province. Ça a pris également l'intervention du chef de l'opposition officielle pour que finalement Justin Trudeau accepte de présenter un début de quelque chose pour solutionner la crise du canola. Crise du canola qui, jusqu'à présent, on parle juste en valeur de marché pour les producteurs canadiens, a coûté environ 1 milliard de dollars aux producteurs en perte de valeur. Ce que Justin Trudeau a annoncé, ce que l'équipe de Justin Trudeau a annoncé ce matin, c'est comme donner une carte de crédit à un travailleur qui vient de perdre son emploi sans lui fournir les moyens par la suite de payer cette carte de crédit-là, en faisant juste une partie du plan, en nommant pas un ambassadeur, en n'annonçant pas une plainte devant l'OMC. Mais est-ce que le gouvernement Trudeau, il fait juste mettre un pansement temporaire, mais aucune solution, aucun processus de guérison pour la crise du canola actuellement? C'est trop peu, trop tard, et le gouvernement doit maintenant présenter le reste du plan. Et comme le dit mon collègue, présentement, il y a d'autres cultures qui sont à risque au Canada. On parle des pois, on parle du soya, on parle des producteurs de porc qui sont très, très, très inquiets. On ne veut pas que cette crise connaisse une escalade au cours des prochains jours, des prochaines semaines. Comment peut-on résoudre une crise quand on n'a même pas un négociateur sur place en Chine comme un ambassadeur pour être capable justement d'adresser toutes ces questions-là et tous ces problèmes-là de notre industrie? Donc, c'est un pas, mais pas suffisant. Je remercie le chef Andrew Scheer, notre chef, d'avoir fait cette déclaration lundi, d'avoir démontré clairement que les producteurs de canola pouvaient compter sur l'appui de l'opposition officielle. On va continuer à se battre, on va continuer à parler du dossier tant et aussi longtemps qu'on n'aura pas une solution concrète avec la Chine.
Mr. O'Toole, can I just ask you really quickly, what do you make of the announcement this morning about the government's plan to help canola farmers? And if you don't think it's the right path, what would you recommend doing?
Well, the financial assistance to our canola producers is only a temporary measure. We've been calling for it for several months, but it doesn't address the underlying market access crisis. The trade minister is planning trips to Japan and South Korea and avoiding the country where the market access is being restricted. They're avoiding nominating an ambassador to China after the last Liberal insider failed in dramatic fashion. This crisis is deepening. It's not getting any better. There's other commodities at risk. We need an ambassador. We need a minister to travel there. We need market access to be the priority. And right now we see absolute inaction which I think is being viewed by the Chinese state as weakness. So I think even if the minister went there and didn't come back with immediate access, at least it would be an effort to show a long-term solution for our farmers. Right now we see a crisis and absolute inaction by the Trudeau government.
The Saskatchewan ask, maybe to Luc or Randy, the Saskatchewan ask had been for the entire APP $1 million to be interest-free. The announcement this morning is only $500,000. Is that enough, or?
You know, it's a classic example of the government not listening to what the requests are being made. Reality is, well, that's just one of the asks. If you don't restore market access, you don't give them a way to pay back that cash advance. So it's like giving somebody a credit card, but then not allowing them to have the cash flow to actually make the payments on the credit card. So what you're going to see in this scenario is farmers will take advantage of cash advance, and they're appreciative of it. But if they don't have the ability to sell their canola next fall, or if they sell it into a market that's falling and the price is so low, they actually won't have the cash flow to pay it back, and that's the frustration they feel on their side. So that's why you have to do everything. You have to do the market access, you have to do the WTO challenge, and you have to do the cash advance. And you have to address the actual root problems to this situation. And this government's doing nothing. It's just putting a Band-Aid on it and walking away, similar to what they've done in other sectors like softwood lumber.
Carr this morning said that WTO challenge remains an option. Is there any concern that China would see a challenge of the WTO as a reason to retaliate further against it?
You know what? There's nothing wrong with taking WTO. WTO is like a judge. You know, you take it to court and you get a ruling. Why wouldn't you start that process? The fact that you don't even start the process just shows further weakness. It shows you're not willing to stand behind Canadian producers in this situation and actually say, we've got your back when a dispute settles or erupts. Reality is this government's doing nothing. They're putting their head in the sand. They're trying to put a couple good clippings out there to make everybody feel good, but reality at the farm gate is not effective.
And I want to add that we have waited for months now, 2 months, and the Ag Minister requested only a simple delegation to go there since the beginning of April, and we didn't have an answer yet now. So waiting is not an answer. We have to do something. We have to show that we take this issue seriously, and this is what we proposed Monday. Do the three things and show that to the Chinese government that we will not let things just await. So we must do something, and this is what the government should do.
What on the ambassador? What's the hold up, do you think, or what is propelling the fact that there's no ambassador?
I'll let Aaron take that.
We can only speculate that Mr. Trudeau's reluctance to appoint an ambassador or nominate an ambassador is their sense that it'll be rejected by the Chinese. This is why several months ago we called for an envoy to start softening the relationship so that we could get someone in place. They've done nothing. They have done absolutely nothing. And deficit financing for our farmers is a temporary relief, as my colleague said. If we don't regain the market access and we see the price continue to fall, farmers will be left on the hook for that in the future. So an ambassador is key. If they're going to fail in nominating someone, let's let the first one be rejected faster than waiting 2 more months. It's inaction with this government. And right now, if you're looking at alternate markets for our canola, as John Manley said, Canada's never been so alone. So we can't do more with the U.S., the UAE, Japan. All of those countries at various times have had trade disruption or diplomatic problems with the Trudeau government. So this is where it's coming home to roost. Everywhere they've gone, the relationships with those countries have atrophied under Justin Trudeau, and no one's there to even back us up or to take our commodities. So you're going to see a crisis until they start addressing the underlying problem.
You mentioned other products could be at risk. What are you talking about other than canola?
There's a lot of fear right now amongst our agricultural sector. You know, our colleagues hear it across the country of the fact that inaction is leading to potential risks of other commodities. You know, the death sentence for another Canadian citizen this week makes everyone feel that each week more bad news comes. That's why even for the confidence of our ag sector and for the hundreds of thousands of Canadians traveling and living in China, the government needs to start taking a serious leadership role in reversing this crisis.
Is some kind of retaliation against Chinese products or against the Chinese government at the diplomatic level be considered at this point?
I think it's not even clear if the Prime Minister or the Minister have called the Chinese ambassador in again, since several months ago his op-ed caused a big furor. They haven't called him on the carpet or even considered sending him back to Beijing with a clear message. I think we need to see action of some sort. When we had market disruption in the Conservative government, we had someone like Minister Ritz getting on a plane and reestablishing that access. This is a complicated relationship. It's now citizens are impacted. There are many complications to it, and the longer the Trudeau government takes to take action is making it even worse. So they need to step up.
Japan has long been considered a stable canola market. They take 2 million tons every year. The number doesn't fluctuate. How likely is it that the Japanese would be interested in taking additional product on a trade mission next month? I don't know who wants to answer that question, but they only buy 2 million tons of seed a year. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, you know, that's the interesting part about him doing a delegation to South Korea and Japan. The Japanese can only use so much canola every year, so and it only has so much crush capacity. You know, with canola, when you ship it to a foreign market, it's not just something you crush at your own kitchen table. You actually need a crush plant to crush it to produce the oil and the meal. So, you know, it's good to go to Japan. I always encourage trade trips to Japan, and in this case, South Korea. But if you think you're going to correct this problem by increasing market access in other areas of the world immediately, you won't solve this problem. The only way to solve this problem is to get your market access back into China so that we can actually sell our canola back into that market.
Et l'attente du gouvernement a fait en sorte que les prix du canola partout maintenant sont de plus en plus bas. La perte de valeur ne sera pas rétablie du jour au lendemain. Que ce soit au Japon, que ce soit en Corée du Sud, quand on va vendre du canola, le prix maintenant, à cause de l'inaction du gouvernement depuis le début de l'année dans ce domaine-là, a baissé à un tel point que ça a coûté $1 milliard à l'économie canadienne. Et il ne faut pas l'oublier, ça va être encore plus difficile de diversifier notre marché et d'avoir un bon prix pour notre canola parce que le gouvernement a trop attendu avant de trouver une solution puis d'agir dans ce dossier-là.
Can I just ask one more quick question, particularly on something that you said, Mr. O'Toole? You're calling on Trudeau to either, get an envoy to start softening up that relationship, or get a minister on a plane to reopen that high-level dialogue. But what we're seeing right now is the Chinese are not engaging with the Canadians at all. Marie-Claude Bibeau has offered to send the CFIA, and we've confirmed with CBC News, the Chinese sent back a letter completely ignoring that specific request. So if the Chinese aren't willing to listen to Canada's case, is that really the best step forward?
And that's exactly what they said months ago when we asked the Prime Minister to make the call. We were fearful that this dispute could go this way. Other countries have experienced a similar high-pressure engagement and trade disruption with China. That's why we asked the Prime Minister to take personal leadership early. His much vaunted admiration of China, his father's relationship, cash some of those chips because there's Canadian citizens at risk, there's Canadian exporters at risk. They've refused that. They've refused a ministerial trip. They've refused to nominate an ambassador. We've been urging both. So sending an industry group or sending advisors is not sufficient. The Chinese want to see that the relationship is taken seriously, that it's valued, and that requires a senior official. A phone call from the Prime Minister is what we asked for initially. They were reluctant. They haven't sent a minister. That would be the next thing. And now we have no official representative on the ground. We also recommended an envoy, a former Prime Minister, a former minister. All of these have been rejected. And what have they offered? Nothing. And the situation's getting worse. So this is, as former Ambassador Mulroney described it, the naivete of Justin Trudeau is leading to a total reset of the relationship with China. I think Canadians need to be worried. Thank you.
Thank you.